Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.
Next on North Carolina Weekend, we'll sample collards in Ayden, visit Benjamin Winery in Saxapahaw, and join me on a cruise to Cape Lookout. Coming up next.
Funding for North Carolina Weekend is provided in part by the North Carolina Division of Tourism, Film, and Sports Development, committed to showcasing our state's natural scenic beauty, rich history, and unique cultural attractions. From the Blue Ridge and Great Smoky Mountains, across the Piedmont to 300 miles of Barrier Island beaches, everything from big-time adventure to small-town charm is just down the road in North Carolina.
Quality public television is made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.
Welcome to North Carolina Weekend. I'm Deborah Holt Noel. The collard is a humble plant, not really getting the attention it deserves, or so folks in Ayden think. And so for over 30 years, this small eastern North Carolina town ramps up for a big festival that showcases the leafy vegetable and the town of Ayden itself.
Some folks around Pitt County will try to convince you that Ayden is the barbecue capital of the world. But there's no denying that for one weekend every year, it does become the collard capital. You can find this tasty plant in the fields just outside of town or at the produce vendor carrying its name. On the weekend after Labor Day, this town of about 5,000 swells by 2 or 3 times its normal size with the Ayden Collard Festival.
The festival is a time for the community to get together, to celebrate. And started back in 1974, what occurred was, back in those days, we were an agricultural community, and tobacco crops were coming to an end around the 1st of September. So what the committee decided to do is have something to celebrate in the farming season. So the fact that it was the weekend after Labor Day was a good time to do it, and they named the Collard Festival, being an agricultural community.
The collard plant itself is merely a great excuse for all of this fun. Oh, sure, they still love those collards thrown onto their plates with their barbecue, but this weekend is a full-blown shindig. There's music and dancing, food, and rides. There's even a beauty pageant. A few years back, this little show got Lindsey Richardson started on the path towards celebrity.
But I did start in Ayden, and I was crowned in 2006 as the Ayden Collard Festival Queen, which is now known as Miss Ayden. And then that same year, I went on to win Miss North Carolina National Teenager 2007. And from then, that summer, I went and placed first runner-up in America for that pageant in Nashville, Tennessee. You know, I've gained a lot from it all.
The pageant is always a big hit, but the entire weekend is one great social event after another.
You know, we work on this thing for about a year, and it's just amazing to come out and see how people enjoy the festival. And I guess that's the biggest thing that, for me, as a chairman of the Collard Festival, it just makes me feel so good to see people enjoy the town and enjoy the community and come out and socialize.
On the Saturday, on our big day, you'll see close to 15,000 to 20,000 people here. In fact, our hallmark is, of course, our parade. Our parade route's over 2 miles long, and every year we have over 100 entries.
Nighttime or during the day, there's a full schedule of events, including a road race, a golf tournament, and if you're a day tripper, there's one item you cannot miss, the art show at the old community building. You might just be amazed at the quality of the creative talent working in and around this little community. You don't have to like the taste of this bitter vegetable to enjoy the Ayden Collard Festival. But it might be a good idea to keep it a secret if that's the case. I did. I'm Rick Sullivan for North Carolina Weekend.
The Ayden Collard Festival begins Thursday, September 9th and runs through Sunday, September 12th. For more information about the parade, music, collard eating contest, and more, call 252-746-2266 or go to AydenCollardFestival.com. For over 400 years, Jews have integrated into North Carolina life by blending their own traditions into Southern culture. Now, a fascinating new exhibit at the North Carolina Museum of History recounts the personal stories of hard work, dreams, and challenges of Jewish immigrants who became Southern while trying to maintain their cultural and religious lives in a new land.
The Down Home Jewish Life in North Carolina exhibit at the North Carolina Museum of History in Raleigh is part of a multimedia project of the Jewish Heritage Foundation of North Carolina that tells the 400-year history of the Jewish experience in our state.
Although you'll learn a lot about North Carolina's Jewish history, what you'll experience mostly here is what it felt like to live as a Jew in North Carolina.
The question they had to answer was what was the story they wanted to communicate.
We decided to organize the exhibit around Jewish values. The first one was the centrality of religious tradition. So as you walk in, the first thing you'll see is a reconstructed synagogue. And we have an actual ark from a synagogue that stood in Winston-Salem before World War I with the Torah scroll at the very center at the entrance of the exhibit. We have the reader's desk from the Wilson congregation, and we have a scroll of Esther, which was handwritten by a Jewish immigrant, Abraham Brooks, in Warsaw. That's not Warsaw, Poland, that's Warsaw, North Carolina. And we have a reconstructed model, so you can actually see the state's oldest synagogue, the Temple of Israel in Wilmington. You can go and learn all the elements of the sacred space of the synagogue by looking at this model.
The values of religion, family, community, education, and work are also highlighted in the exhibit.
I think one of the things that Jews and Southerners have always shared is a love of story. And one of the things we've done in the exhibit is to focus on some colorful individuals. There's Gertrude Wheel, who became one of the leading progressives in North Carolina in the suffragette movement and social justice, community action. We have the story of Harry Golden.
Harry Golden was apparently quite a character. He moved to Charlotte in the 1940s and began publishing his own newspaper, the Carolina Israelite.
And he was also an outspoken leader in support of the civil rights movement.
Or the story of Mr. Bloom.
He was a Lithuanian immigrant who was peddling in Halifax County. He fell ill, and a farmer by the name of Peel took him into his home, and his daughter Lula nursed him back to health. The two fell in love. He took her to the rabbi in Wilmington, who converted her to Judaism, and eventually they wound up in Whitakers, North Carolina, and their descendants are still here in High Point and Fayetteville.
So the importance of family was a strong value to emphasize.
Whenever we talk about family, of course, what people start talking about is food. So we've reconstructed a Jewish kitchen. You can actually go and open the refrigerator and the stove and see the foods on the stovetop.
You can also enjoy the experience of sitting down with the family for a meal that's so real you can almost taste it.
And then you can sit down at a Sabbath table with the family and have a genuine Sabbath dinner and see the food on a LCD monitor appear right in front of you. This is a North Carolina story. Generally, the North Carolina Jewish story is really the story of the New South. Very often Jews who came here were poor immigrants who had not had much formal education themselves, but they sacrificed so that their children would have a better life. We called it Down Home just because we wanted to stress that sense of roots. They may have come here with speaking with heavily Yiddish accents, with a history that went back into Poland or Lithuania or Germany, but when they came here, they very quickly became North Carolinians.
This is Derek Long for North Carolina Weekend.
Down Home, Jewish Life in North Carolina can be seen at the North Carolina Museum of History until March 2011. The museum is at 5 East Edenton Street in Raleigh, and they're open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and on Sunday, noon to 5 p.m. For more information, give them a call at 919-807-7900 or go to ncmuseumofhistory.org. The federal government recently recognized North Carolina's third American viticultural area right along the Haw River Valley. What does that mean? Well, an AVA helps wine lovers know the soil and climate of a particular region, and evidently it's helping winemakers at Benjamin Vineyards produce award-winning wines.
This vine, as thick as a tree trunk, is called Old Ben, and it's a muscadine grapevine at least a century old. Old Ben grows on the property of Andy and Nancy Zeman along the Haw River near Saxbahaw. And it's on this property that Andy and Nancy planted other grape varieties and built from scratch Benjamin Vineyard and Winery, named after Nancy's father.
I've been making wine at home for the last 20 years, and I was always a neighborhood bootlegger. Basically, I gave away everything that I made. And when it came time to think about retirement, we thought, well, why not take the hobby, which we enjoyed so much, and turn it into a full-time profession. So that's how the whole thing with Benjamin Vineyards got started, as a hobby that basically got out of control.
The Zemans are advocates of sustainable growth.
We use no pesticides whatsoever, and all the chemicals we use, which would be our herbicides and our fungicides, are all organic. We back up to the Haw River. That's the water supply for the city of Bynum, and ultimately Jordan Lake, which is the water supply for Raleigh. So we don't want to be putting anything on our grapes that'll wash into somebody's drinking water eventually. And same thing with the wine. We don't want to have anything in our wine that came off the grapes that would be objectionable.
Another component of sustainability is family.
The whole sustainable industry idea is to get your family involved and make it profitable and make it a family business. They come out and they help us pick. They do all the lawn mowing, all the yard maintenance. Hopefully, maybe one of them will continue it on when it becomes their time.
About 3 years after the Zemans planted their first vines, Nancy began work on getting the Haw River Valley designated as an AVA.
AVA stands for American Viticultural Area, and it's basically a federally designated grape growing region. It's a recognized region. The AVA basically encompasses all of Alamance County and then parts of 5 other counties, neighboring counties. The Haw River runs from Rockingham crosswise through Alamance down, actually goes into Jordan Lake ultimately. So right now there are 6 wineries that are in the AVA, and there are probably 20 or more vineyards.
But we're here to talk about wines, and Benjamin Winery makes excellent wines, both from muscadine grapes as well as European varietals.
It's a great place to come and have a little, get together and taste the wines, and I thought they were delicious.
Mm-hmm. I like the white wines, and they do produce some very nice white wines. I love them.
Benjamin Winery's low-key style, combined with the beauty of its vineyards, attracts visitors old and new.
Well, actually, we live close by in Fuquay-Varina, and every time we have relatives come into town that have never been here, it's close enough that we come on over and enjoy the wine.
I just like the people, and I like that you can walk through the vineyards. Like, not every winery around here has a vineyard, so.
I liked the blackberry wine. It was nice and sweet and fruity.
I had no idea they had wineries in North Carolina, and it was just informative, and it's nice to be able to taste all the wines, and so it was fun.
Our Merlot is a little different from a lot of Merlots I've had in the past. It's a little lighter in the body, has a lot of fruit to it as well.
We are a small winery, so we hope we give you small personal service, and you get to taste a wide variety of wines. We've got dry wines, semi-dry wines, sweet wines. We've got French wines from French grapes, French hybrids from native grapes, so a wide variety. We've got a small tour in the back if you want to see the facility, and it sort of changes depending on the time of the year. You can also walk through the vines. Again, that changes depending on the time of the year. This is a beautiful time because grapes are ripening and the vines are full.
In keeping with the Zemans' practice of sustainability, Benjamin wines are sold mainly in specialty stores, local restaurants, co-ops, and farmers markets. But the majority of their sales come from visitors to the vineyard. And there's always something going on at Benjamin Vineyards, with parties, receptions, paddling on the Haw, and even theater.
Some of the most fun ones are the murder mystery dinners. So you come here and you get an appetizer, and then you'll see a bit of the play, and get another course and see a bit of the play, and you get a wine with each of those courses if you want, and then at the end the audience has to determine who the murderer is. So those are always fun.
The clinical term AVA doesn't really capture the essence of the land here, but Andy and Nancy Zeman seem to have distilled that essence and crafted beautiful wines here along the Haw River Valley. Old Ben would be proud.
Benjamin Vineyards and Winery is at 6516 Whitney Road in Saxapahaw. And the winery and hospitality room are open for tastings and tours Thursday through Sunday from 12 noon to 5 p.m. They offer all kinds of activities on the weekends, so give them a call at 336-376-1080 or check them out online at benjaminvineyards.com. In 1934, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park became America's 22nd national park. Now the park is huge, over 800 square miles, and it straddles North Carolina and Tennessee. So producer Derek Long decided to explore the North Carolina section to see what it has to offer for lovers of the great outdoors.
Great Smoky Mountains National Park was created in 1934 as a way of providing opportunities for tourism, but also because the people here thought that it was pretty spectacular and it rivaled the parks out west, and wanted to see this area set aside so that we had something like this in the future, and why this place is as special and significant as it is to become a national park. The Mountain Farm Museum is a great place to explore the history of this area. The Mountain Farm Museum is a collection of historic structures that were gathered from different areas in the park and placed here so that folks could see what an Appalachian farm might have had in the early 1900s. We manage the museum almost as a working farm. We have gardens that we maintain where we grow heirloom vegetables, corn, and sorghum. It's a great opportunity for folks to come down and see a working museum.
The Great Smoky Mountains National Park is the most visited of our national parks, with over 9 million visitors each year.
The majority of our visitors really don't leave their car behind. A lot of the visitors generally will drive through the park and maybe get out for a short walk at Newfound Gap or at Klingman's Dome. You get a bigger experience, and I think a greater experience, if you, even for a short distance, step away from your vehicle.
Yes, step away from your vehicle. I wanted to know the other places to go and experience the Smokies.
I say go to the top of the mountain. You've got to see the Smokies from the top.
So I headed to Klingman's Dome. It's about a 20-mile drive from the Oconaluftee Visitor Center. And though the trail is paved, it's a strenuous hike to the top. But it's worth it. Your reward is a 360-degree view of the Smokies as it straddles North Carolina and Tennessee. The Appalachian Trail crosses these mountains as well as many other trails, combining to make more than 900 miles of trails throughout the park.
Probably a little over half of them are in North Carolina.
That's a lot of area to get out and explore.
There's two different types of camping. You have your primitive camping and then your car camping. But Smoky Mountains is the oldest campground in the park. It's probably one of the prettiest campgrounds in the park. It's easy accessible to the town of Cherokee. We've got some beautiful waterfalls, especially in the Deep Creek area outside of Bryson City.
Which is a very popular area, especially in the summertime, because of the water. It's one of the few areas where you can get such reward for such little effort.
Or for the more adventurous.
We also have our backcountry campsites, and these are the ones where they don't cost anything. They're free. You just got to take everything with you. Montana Dam is another of those secret areas of the park. There's great fishing, boating down that way. There's some awesome hiking trails.
But I headed up to the northeastern end of the park, the Cataloochee Valley.
That's one of the best kept secrets in the Smokies. The Cataloochee Valley was one of the largest settlements in the Smokies, but now it's a very quiet valley with just a few historic home sites over there.
In 2001, the Park Service reintroduced elk to the park. And now that's one thing many people think makes the drive worth it.
Every evening, usually about an hour or so before sunset, the elk come down out of the mountains to graze and feed in the grasslands. And so folks have a chance to really get a close-up view of them folks really like to see the bear and the elk and the deer. And while we'd love to say, if you come here, you'll definitely see them, I can't guarantee that because they're wild.
And thanks to our parks that we have such wilderness to explore and preserve. This is Derek Long for North Carolina Weekend.
You can find out more about Great Smoky Mountains National Park by visiting nps.gov. On the water is the obvious destination of choice in the summer, but surprisingly, it's an even more perfect destination right now as we're heading into fall. I found a great way to mix relaxation and fun with a splashy getaway aboard a catamaran to Cape Lookout. On a beautiful day, what better place to enjoy the gifts of the coast than in the midst of its crystal waters? Docked at the Beaufort waterfront is a vessel fit and ready to take you there, 3 seasons out of the year.
The catamaran's Lookout. The name is Lookout. We're 45 feet in length and 30 feet in width. We carry 42 passengers. We have cushioned, shaded seating, restroom below, bar on board. It's safe. We're a Coast Guard certified vessel, so the Coast Guard's on here often. We have a hull exam once a year, a deck inspection once a year. All our crew members have to be sailors. It's as safe as it gets. We've got sisters on here today, Margie and Tommy. Margie has sailed around the world, but both of them have sailed with their parents since they were toddlers, so they've sailed a ton. They also know how to reef the sails when the time comes and handle anchors, and it does take someone that knows what they're doing.
Assured of a safe sail, passengers board the Lookout for what will amount to a fun-filled 6-hour round-trip tour to Cape Lookout.
It's a wonderful experience. The 6 hours flies by, and you get to see lots of shells and lots of sea creatures and the beautiful Cape Lookout Lighthouse.
Captain Steve and his crew have indeed planned a fun day for their guests. After a quick orientation, the adventure begins. The first leg of the trip is a sail across the Atlantic Ocean, with Captain Steve pointing out the highlights.
Blackbeard's wreck, it was found in 1996, sank in 1718. It was behind us just on the other side of the inlet. It's in about 17 feet of water.
On windy days like this one, the sail has a few more thrills. The Lookout seats all passengers comfortably, but those who prefer their ride more wet and wild hang out in the net at the front of the boat. At the rear is another spot guests like to try their hand at. The key is centering on the destination, the Cape Lookout Lighthouse. Where's the lighthouse? Oh, God. Let's go back to the right a little bit.
We think it's just a sailing adventure. You know, it's an hour-and-a-half sail out to the Cape. Then we, of course, serve a great lunch when you get here. That's catered by Beaufort Grocery, which is one of the better restaurants down here. And then we spend about an hour on the point at Cape Lookout where all the conch shells or whelks are. The shelling can be fabulous there. We give everybody mesh shelling bags and they fill them up with conch shells or whelks.
And other beach critters. Of course, they don't keep live sand dollars, and though a lot of people do collect shells, the Cape's mild water and sandy beach provide equal pleasure for swimming or just running around.
Oh, it's been excellent. Great way to spend some time this summer. It's great. It's honestly like escape away from the normal public beaches you get on. It's definitely worth it and a lot of fun.
How's the water?
It's really warm. It's nice. It gets you out of the blowing sand.
After time on the beach, the trip doesn't end.
Then we motor across Cape Lookout Bight, and we go to the lighthouse type at the government dock, and we stay there for about an hour, and it allows you time to go in the keeper's quarters, in the museum, in the Park Service store, and visit the beach there. And then we sail back to Beaufort.
Reservations to climb the lighthouse must be arranged for in advance. If you're so inclined, there are 207 steps to the gallery and a magnificent view of Cape Lookout from the top. A tall waving flag at the boat signals where and when to return. Then the Lookout catamaran begins the return trip to Beaufort. On the journey home, everyone's a little calmer, and the net becomes a relaxing spot for the adults. Now it's dinner time for the wild ponies on Shackleford Banks, a visual treat for passengers aboard the Lookout. The captains decided to take a different route home, traveling the milder waters of the Sound. Being here is such a divine experience, some people are able to walk on water. Just kidding. These inland waters are at such low tide, it just creates an interesting illusion.
I mean, a lot of people in North Carolina don't realize what we have in eastern North Carolina here. There's 52 miles of national seashore here, and it's just a great spot to cruise.
And a great way to spend the day with friends, old and new. For North Carolina Weekend, I'm Deborah Holt Noel. You'll find Lookout Cruises right along the beautiful Beaufort waterfront. They offer a variety of excursions daily, from early morning dolphin watches to moonlight cruises. To book a trip, call 252-504-SAIL or 7245, or you can find them online at lookoutcruises.com. That's it for tonight's show. If you have an event or a suggestion for our program, please log on to our website at unctv.org/NCWeekend and tell us about it. And be sure to become a fan of our show on our Facebook page at facebook.com/NCWeekend, or click on visitnc.com if you'd like to know about other events happening around the state. We hope you have a great North Carolina weekend. Good night.
Funding for North Carolina Weekend is provided in part by the North Carolina Division of Tourism, Film, and Sports Development, committed to showcasing our state's natural scenic beauty, rich history, and unique cultural attractions. From the Blue Ridge and Great Smoky Mountains across the Piedmont to 300 miles of Barrier Island beaches, everything from big-time adventure to small-town charm is just down the road in North Carolina.
Quality public television is made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV. Podcasts on unctv.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.